Joe, have you learned the song?
I don't know if I learnt the song, but the boys did know the songs. Stephen McGee, our kit man, had written on the floor, and they had about 10-15 of them, and they were on the ground, and they went for about 4 verses, and Wardy had written the song, and I started to sing the first verse and stopped because I seen some of the words that were used, so I just clapped my hands, and I don't think any players too concerned with the songs at the moment. It was just clapping and screaming and jumping. It's like that at the moment.
Joey, although there were spells in the first half where you were on top, did you honestly see, with 45 minutes gone, you were 38 down, that final scoreline coming?
Yeah, no. Particularly the way that the second half started similar to the first half, is they scored a few quick tries and then we started to get on top. But when I addressed them at half time, I challenged them to be mentally tough, and I congratulated them for their mental toughness to grind out that game. But irrespective if they had 7 or 8 of their better players, they're a quality side, and that showed out there in that first half. And to come back from that deficit that we gave Leeds Rhinos, it's hard to believe. It's really, really tough, and given the season that we've had, it's very hard not to get emotional, both staff and players, and it's certainly one of the greatest wins that I've certainly been involved in my coaching career.
Tell us a bit about Joe Keys then. I know we've obviously seen him a few times this season, but he looks like somebody that potentially the side could not necessarily build around going forward, but somebody who's certainly got a spark. Certainly
our intention to build a club around those 6 or 7 juniors that we do have. We've retained. Joe Keys is an integral member. He's played a lot of representative football. Given that Joe hasn't had a off-season in the past 2 seasons, I think you're going to see a player that is already playing above his maturity level, and given that we've had to throw him in the deep end and to lead a side around that hasn't been travelling terribly well, puts a lot of pressure, and it brings a lot of people undone. But having watched him develop over the 9, 10, 11 weeks that I've been in charge at the club, it's certainly someone that you could build your club around. The good thing about Joe is he doesn't let it get to him. He's a pretty casual, and sometimes could be misunderstood because of his relaxed nature. However, he's certainly got all the skill attributions offensively, and certainly willing to put his body in front of the defenders. They've got some world-class outside backs. Even today, with a lot of their better players unavailable, they've still got some world-class players, and he just continued to put his body in front of those defenders. So I'm glad you pointed him out, because for an 18-year-old to score 3 tries against arguably one of the best outside back lines in the Super League competition, he deserves that credit. So well done.
How much does a result like that justify everything you're trying to build at the club at the moment? So even though a lot of it is for next year, how much can you take out for the rest of this season?
That's a great question. I think a lot of these interviews, these post-match interviews, a lot of journalists such as yourself always ask, how's the mood been and how's the training been? We've never had an issue or a problem with motivating or keeping a high standard of morale at our place. I've always challenged our staff and always encouraged our staff to be punctual, professional, and make training enjoyable. So it just typifies that what we are doing, or what we're trying to do at the training pitch, has come to fruition today, and it doesn't always necessarily come to fruition. We've been on the other end of the scoreline in a big way, but today just demonstrates that, if you have a little bit of continuity and you have a little bit of understanding, I know where we are, the club knows where we are. So that in hand, it just demonstrates that what we are doing is right, and certainly put some really good measures in place for next year with our recruitment program and identifying the players that we want to keep at our club. And as a gentleman just said, Joe Keys would be one of those. So yeah, it's a good question you ask, and it's a relieving day, I can tell you.
Also, in terms of the Super League table, it means you won't now even be historically regarded as the worst team in Super League. Presumably, again, that's another monkey off your back.
It is. I understand we still hold a record for consecutive losses, and I say we, the club, because we're all in this together, irrespective of who was here before me or whatever. We, the club, have got the record, but that's one less record we will hold after today. And certainly, you know, given we've got the week off, given we go into the Catalans, Salford and Bradford, who knows, we might just be able to grab another win or another 2 wins, or, you know, if God's shining down on us, we could get 3 out of 3. So
how are you going to celebrate tonight?
Well, my wife and 2 kids are in Italy, so I was very sad. That's probably why I was a little bit emotional after the game. My wife's my biggest fan, and the fact that Adriana took the 2 kids to Italy on Tuesday, yeah, it's disappointing she couldn't be here for the first Super League win. She was here for my first Super League game as head coach, but unfortunately wasn't here for the first Super League win. So for me to celebrate, I know you're going to find this really weird and unusual, but I'm going to go home and cut up the game and prepare for Tuesday, because we've got a couple of days off next week, and I'd rather get that out of the way. And while I've got a house free of children and my wife, I'll be able to knock it over in 4 hours instead of 8 hours, so it'll be a good opportunity. I'm a non-drinker, so I won't be celebrating with alcohol. So
There'll be a smile on the face for once.
yeah. I'm usually a pretty positive fella anyway, that I do usually have a smile on my face a lot of the time, but just today the teeth are a little bit whiter.